We're nearing the end of our Gen 1 Nuzlocke journey, at least for the Monotype challenges. Today, I'm going to see if we can beat Pokemon Blue using only the grass types. Rules are on screen but also in the description. It doesn't matter if you choose red or blue version, this run only has 5 encounters, with the differences being that the Bellsprout line is available in blue and the Oddish line available in red. And seeing that I'm a Victory Bell kinda guy, we're going to be playing blue. Grass types in Generation 1 have a few common themes. The first is that nearly all of them are dual types, with only Tangela being the lone pure grass type. The second, nearly all of them can learn the Swords Dance TM, which we'll get later on, along with the Body Slam TM, which can be picked up on the SSN, great for badge boosting purposes and physical sweeps. And all of them have access to a sleep-inducing move at some point, which is going to be critical. Other than that though, the move pools are a bit lacking, with level up moves being the powders, various grass moves, and the TMs being the typical normal moves, or moves that every Pokemon can learn like Double Team and Bide, along with the 2 grass TMs in Solar Beam and Mega Drain, although I am thankful that 2 of our encounters will have a bit more coverage than normal. No universal Pokemon randomizer today, as our starter is Bulbasaur, and this lab battle gets down to the wire. I actually ended up re-rolling for a better Bulbasaur after this, and once I have my better Bulb, I can go minimum battles from here, defeat the mandatory bug catcher in Verdian Forest to reach level 7 and learn Leech Seed, and then I can knock out level 2 Pidgeys for stat experience, or just calculate it all, along with any stat experience I would gain using the RBY XP router, to get to level 13, learn Vine Whip, and crush Brock. As we make our way to Mount Moon, which also has our second encounter, Bulbasaur evolves into an Ivysaur, and shortly after I enter Mount Moon, I quickly find our next encounter, a Paras. While Paras and Parasect are slow as dirt, Parasect has a decent attack and special stat, and having access to both Swords Dance, Growth, and a 100% accurate sleep move in Spore later, we've got options. Near the end of Mount Moon and coming up though, are what is going to make this early game kind of difficult, and that's trainers with Zubats. For those that are unfamiliar, Gen 1 is full of coding errors, like Psychic types being immune to Ghost type attacks. Another one of those coding errors is Bug being super effective against Poison, and we have an annoying Leech Life user we're going to be seeing often in this early game in Zubat. Not only does it take a few tackles or scratches to take out these annoying bastards, but as they're hitting me with Leech Life, which is 4 times super effective against Ivysaur, they can confuse us with Supersonic. Against this Rocket Zubat, I have to 4-shot it with Tackle thanks to the healing it gets from Leech Life, and I do hit myself in confusion once, but thankfully the AI isn't the smartest, going for Supersonic when I'm already confused, and after snapping out of confusion, that's one pesky Zubat down for now. After grabbing the Helix Fossil, which is completely useless to me in this run, I head into Cerulean, and after healing at the Pokemon Center and defeating the one mandatory trainer with a Pecking Goldeen, I can take on Misty. Her Starfish Pokemon though are no match for my plant, with 2 Vine Whips taking out Staryu and 3 taking out Starmie to win the Cascade badge. The rival on Nugget Bridge tends to be annoying, only because of Pidgeotto and its damn sand attack. While I do get hit with it, I am able to 4-shot his lead bird thanks to a crit from my final tackle, and I can play around the sand attack. Since Abra can't attack me, I swap to Paras and then back into Ivysaur to restore my accuracy. I can use Leech Seed to slowly, and I do mean slowly, to get back to full health while just stalling with Growl as the healing does its thing. Once I'm fully healed up, a Tackle takes it out. Rattata is an easy 2-shot with Vine Whip, and Tackle is a 3-shot on Charmander thanks to a crit as it doesn't use Ember at all. Ivysaur reaches level 22 at the end of the battle and can learn Poison Powder, which I think could be useful as we go from this early game to the mid game, especially when combined with Leech Seed. Nugget Bridge is kind of what you would expect. I do have to backtrack a few times to the Pokemon Center when my Pokemon get a little too low on health, especially Paras. And of course, the Rocket Grunt at the end of Nugget Bridge has an Ekans, which is an annoying rap user for this early game, and our nemesis, Zubat. While his Zubat does confuse me with Supersonic and things look bad as I was hitting myself over and over again, instead of it using the 4 times super effective Leech Life, it opts for Bite instead. And once I snap out of confusion, a critical hit from Tackle, which seems to be an early theme, finishes off the annoying bat. And in this patch of grass to the left of the Rocket, we can get our next encounter, here, a Bellsprout. I'm looking forward to using this thing on the team. It has a trapping move and wrap, access to growth, swords dance, and sleep powder, and I think Victory Bell could be the MVP of this run later on. After making my way to Bills, we have a few obstacles that could give our grass types problems, starting with the innocent bystander Rocket. I lead Bellsprout in this one, who has learned sleep powder by now, and I want to put Machop to sleep, set up growth, and Vine Whip his Pokemon down. I'm able to set up to +5, which I'll gladly take, because Machop hits fairly hard with Karate Chop as you see, but the growths are meant for Drowsy, because it has a sleep-inducing move in Hypnosis, Confusion, which is super effective against 2 of my Pokemon, and Disable, which is just annoying for this early game. Drowsy thankfully opts for Pound as 2 Vine Whips take it out. After the battle, I get the TM for Dig, which little old Paris can learn. I'll take the ground type coverage. The next obstacle is this junior trainer before you can enter Vermilion. He has a Spearow and Raticate. Spearow has Peck, which is super effective, and this Spearow in particular has caused a death or 2 in prior runs, most recently that I can think of in my Little Lock, and Raticate with Stab Hyper Fang for this part in the game hits hard, but Ivysaur shows off that flower power, two-shotting both of his Pokemon. I guess I was worried for nothing. On the SSN, we can grab the TM for Body Slam, which I promise I won't be holding on to until the very late game in this run like I tend to do in these Nuzlocks. And before taking on the rival, we have an evolution, as Bellsprout evolves into Weepinbell. And Weepinbell is going to be my Pokemon of choice against the rival, using Wrap to slowly take out Pidgeotto, who doesn't hit me with a sand attack thankfully, and putting Raticate to sleep and then fully setting up with Growth so that Confusion from Kadabra and Ember from Charmeleon don't wreck me, unless they crit of course. While Weepinbell does get down to about a third of its HP, I was never worried in this one. Before we take on Surge, we have one more evolution, as Paris evolves into Parasect, and Parasect is going to be my Pokemon of choice against Surge, because I have the super effective ground move in Dig. It's able to one-shot both Voltorb and Pikachu, but has to two-shot Raichu. But what's Raichu going to do to me anyway? Surge at the end of the battle says, "Whoa, am I tripping or did I just lose to a mushroom?" You could be tripping, Surge. Do you still have any of those drugs you brought back from Nam? Rock Tunnel is next, and as I head through it, the only thing to talk about is the Pokemaniacs, because I can't one-shot the Slowpokes with Vine Whip, or even the first Cubone with Vine Whip, and this gives the Slowpokes a chance to hit me back with Confusion, which Stab Confusion still hits pretty hard for this point in the game, and if it were to confuse me, there's a chance it could result in a death. Thankfully that doesn't happen today. I don't need to cover the self-destructing Hiker because we're a grass type specialist, and we can just move on to Celadon. Once I arrive, I teach Ivysaur Body Slam. I wanted a stronger option for the Zubats and soon-to-be Golbats that I'm going to come across. But for now, I'm going to head through the Rocket Game Corner instead of heading to the gym to face Giovanni. And as far as Giovanni goes, I don't need to talk about Onix or Rhyhorn, but I do need to talk about Kangaskhan. Despite this thing having a special stat of 40, it always seems to tank my special attacks pretty well, and I don't end up using any in this battle. I start off by trying to set up the Leech Seed Poison Powder strat, which I miss a few times, and Kangaskhan goes for Rage immediately, which could get pretty bad if I'm not able to knock this thing out quickly, and I actually have to swap Ivysaur out for Weepinbell since it does get pretty low on health, but Wrap is able to finish off Giovanni's ace. After chasing Team Rocket out of town, I head to the department store to do some shopping, selling off TMs I don't need, and I purchase a Leaf Stone. I should have bought 2 here, and I do come back for a second one, but we're not going to be using these until later in the game anyway. It's time to fight Flowers with Flowers as we take on the Grass Club leader Erica. I lead Parasect in this one. Victory Bell is unfortunately faster, which means after Leech Life does over half of its HP, this thing just hits Wrap over and over, and with poison damage adding up from the poison powder it used turn 1, I'm quickly brought down to 10 HP before I have to swap to Weepinbell. Erica's AI sees poison powder as super effective, so she's just going to use that over and over. It's a slow battle, but Weepinbell eventually comes out victorious. Tangela is next, and I test damage with Vine Whip since I've been setting up growths, which does decent damage. It's going to 3-shot the Vine Pokemon who just hits me with weak binds and constricts. Vileplume is last, and this is just another slow one because I have to chip it down down with Wrap, but at the end of the day, we earn the Rainbow Badge and have the TM for Mega Drain to use later. I've got to head to Pokemon Tower and face our rival next, and this battle is a joint effort. My opening Body Slam does over half to Pidgeotto, but it hits me with Sand Attack right away, causing me to miss the next turn. I swap out Ivysaur for Parasect, which on the surface seems like a misplay, but I was trying to think ahead because the rival will be sending out Execute next, and Leech Life will annihilate the eggs. Instead, I paralyze the annoying bird, chip it down some, take another Sand Attack before swapping back into Ivysaur, and finishing off the annoying bird with Body Slam. Execute comes out and it's a slow battle due to getting put to sleep with Hypnosis and this thing going for Barrage every turn. The combination of Poison Powder and Body Slam eventually take it out, but I have 39 HP remaining for Gyarados. And since this thing has Dragon Rage, which does a guaranteed 40 HP, I have to swap out Ivysaur for Weepinbell. My plan is to put this thing to sleep, set up Growth, and take it out, Kadabra, and Charmeleon with our Flycatcher Pokemon. And things work out exactly that way. At +3, Vine Whip can 2-shot Gyarados. Vine Whip also 2-shots Kadabra, who only goes for Teleport, and although one of Charmeleon's Embers crits which bypass my boost from Growth, Weepinbell is a Rap God, taking it out, but this thing is going to be a Charizard the next time we see it. The channelers here are no problem because I have Parasect. Even though I'm slower, as long as I don't get hit with Confuse Ray or paralyzed from a weak lick, I'm good, because Dig will easily one-shot all of the Ghastlies. At the top of Pokemon Tower, I have to face 3 Rocket Grunts in order to get to Mr. Fuji. In yellow, it's just a battle with Jesse and James, which is much faster and easier in my opinion. This first Rocket Grunt, however, has 2 Zubats and a Golbat. The Zubats don't give Ivysaur any problems. Body Slam can 2-shot both, but it's the Golbat that almost single-handedly ends the run here. It misses its opening Supersonic as Body Slam does about a third, only for it to go for Confuse Ray the next turn, as I hit myself in confusion. It then flinches me with Bite and lowers my defense with Screech, which increases the damage I deal to myself in confusion. Down to 19 HP, I swap Ivysaur for Weepinbell, and Golbat does the same to it, confusing my Flycatcher Pokemon and lowering its defense with Screech, and after hitting myself twice in confusion, Weepinbell is quickly down to 11 HP remaining, and I have to swap to Parasect. Things looked grim because Golbat outspeeds all of my Pokemon and it looked like I was going to lose something here. Parasect thankfully has Spore, which is going to be my saving grace in this battle. After awful confusion luck, I finally hit Spore to put Golbat to sleep, only for it to wake up immediately, but at least Parasect shakes off confusion, and Leech Life deals okay damage. Things aren't looking good. Golbat reconfuses me as I hit myself again, but get through the next turn to put the bat to sleep. But right on cue, I hit myself in confusion, bringing me down to 8 HP, but Parasect shakes off the confusion, Golbat stays asleep, and Leech Life is able to finish it. That was way too close. After acquiring the Pokéflute, we have an evolution on our way to the Safari Zone, as Ivysaur evolves into Venusaur. Upon arriving in Fuchsia, I immediately head to the Safari Zone. I encounter a Rhyhorn and then a Pinsir, which I do want to do a solo run with, before encountering Execute. Finally, a new Pokemon, and one that is part Psychic type too. Exeggutor is a monster, so it will be nice to use one. Before heading through Koga's gym though, I make a pit stop to Saffron. I grab the TM for Psychic, which I teach to Execute right away, and then do what Gym Leader Matt calls a half-sylph, grabbing the card key and then the TM for Swords Dance. With the level cap at 43 and Weepinbell learning Razor Leaf at level 38, I decide to evolve it once it learns this move into Victory Bell. And what better way for Victory Bell to make its debut than a battle against Koga? The battle is slow, with me utilizing Growth for badge boost to my attack stat while using Wrap to slowly chip down Koga's Pokemon. Razor Leaf would have probably been a better play, since it does get the auto crit thanks to Victory Bell's base speed, or even teaching Swords Dance over Growth to use with Wrap. I do eventually end up swapping to Venusaur, who gets brought down low, but I make it out of this one with no deaths and a boost to our speed. Now that I can use Surf outside of battle, I fly back to Pallet Town and surf to the patch of grass blocked off here, and thanks to the power of video editing, we get our encounter right away, Tangela. I'm not a fan of Tangela, having used it in a solo run, and in terms of my up-to-date vanilla runs, it is at the bottom of the tier specialist in terms of fully evolved Pokemon and single-stage Pokemon, but it's an encounter and will help us out, so I'll take it. It's time to head back to Silphco to progress the story. In majority of these Nuzlockes, I fight Blaine early, but that's a bad idea considering I'm a Grass-type specialist, so it's time to take on Rival 5. He now has the fully evolved Pidgeot as his lead against my Venusaur. This thing also now has Stab Wing Attack, which it goes for every turn. Body Slam looked like it was a 3-hit, but my third leaves it on a sliver, as Pidgeot gets a critical hit with Wing Attack to bring me to 13 HP. I can take it out and the following Execute, who's just going to spam Reflect and Poison Powder because the AI sees them as super effective, before I have to swap out to Victory Bell against Gyarados. And for Victory Bell, it's the same plan that I used in Pokemon Tower. Put Gyarados to sleep, set up Growth for some badge boosts, and hopefully sweep his remaining 3 Pokemon. Even though Razor Leaf isn't affected by Growth thanks to Gen 1 crit mechanics, it 2-shots Gyarados. I wrap down Alakazam instead of just Razor Leafing it, but that's fine. And since Charizard double resists Razor Leaf, I have to chip it down with Wrap. I do miss a few times and get tagged with Ember, but thanks to the boost from Growth, it's dealing pathetic damage, and that's another rival battle in the books. I have to battle Giovanni, and there's nothing to say about this one. It's just really easy, and one that I've been thinking about cutting out in my solo runs as well. He really doesn't provide a challenge unless you're using an electric type. After grabbing the TM for Mimic from Copycat's house, it's time to wrap up business and take on Sabrina. The plan I had in my head was to hopefully solo her team with Venusaur, but after Body Slam fails to one-shot Mr. Mime and its confusion does around a quarter, I got a little nervous, so I swapped to Victory Bell, and you guys know what's coming. Put it to sleep, set up, and use Wrap and Razor Leaf on the rest of her Pokemon, with the only damage coming from Alakazam using Psywave, an easy 6th gym badge. Blaine is a battle that I had to think about, and I definitely dropped the ball with my lead. I'm going to lead Parasect in the battle, when I should have led Victory Bell, and I wish Blaine's level cap was 1 level higher at 48, because that is when Parasect learns Growth, which would have really helped out in this battle. I could have put the Growlithe to sleep, set up fully, and probably swept with Dig, and while Parasect is able to take out Growlithe with Dig and surprisingly outspeeds it, must be from the vitamins and little bit of stat experience grinding, Ponyta outspeeds, and if I were to stay in, I feel like it would just hit Fire Spin over and over and over and knock out Parasect. So I swap to Victory Bell, and of course Ponyta hits me with a Fire Spin on the swap in, but once Victory Bell is free, I go for Sleep Powder, putting it to sleep, and start setting up growths, because if Wrap misses on say Arcanine, I want to be able to take a Fire Blast or two. I eventually take down both Ponyta and Rapidash with Wrap, although it's a slow process because Blaine actually uses his super potions at the right moment. His many super potions. Moving on to his final Pokemon Arcanine, I try Wrap strats on it as well, but his endless super potions just undo my progress, so I put the Fire Doggo to sleep with Sleep Powder and Razor Leaf it down. Not how I thought I would win this battle, but hey, a win's a win, and we're deathless to this point. With the level cap now at 50, Parasect can learn Growth, and Execute also learns Sleep Powder at level 48, and now I can evolve our eggs into the mighty Exeggutor. Giovanni is the final gym leader, and Tangela makes its battle debut, and if I were to describe this battle, I'd do it in 3 words: Solar Beam Gaming. I taught Tangela the Solar Beam TM that you find in the Cinnabar Mansion just to give it a better stab option than Absorb, because the Mega Drain TM is going to go on Parasect. I also level up to 49 in the middle of the battle and can teach Growth over Slam. The only unfortunate thing is that I get poisoned by Nidoking, and had I not, I would have stayed in against Rhydon and Solar Beamed it as well, but I didn't want to risk it KOing Tangela with like a crit stomp or something like that, so I swapped to Victory Bell, who can finish it with a Razor Leaf. We have a battle against our rival before entering Victory Road, and this battle is very easy, because I taught Venusaur the Swords Dance TM before Blaine's gym as a just in case, and Swords Dance combined with Body Slam just wrecks his team. I do get brought pretty low thanks to Pidgeot's wing attacks and a stomp from Rhyhorn, but +4 is more than enough to one-shot his entire team. I wish I had more to say here, but I don't. It is what it is. Now that we're at the league, this is the team. We have Venusaur, our starter with Razor Leaf, Body Slam, Sleep Powder, and Swords Dance. Victory Bell, the Flycatcher with Razor Leaf, Growth, Wrap, and Sleep Powder. Tangela, our Silly Strings Pokemon with Solar Beam, Bind, Growth, and Sleep Powder. Every one of my Pokemon has a sleep-inducing move. I love it. The Coconut Tree Exeggutor, who I need to do a solo run with Solar Beam, which it learned as an Execute, Sleep Powder, Egg Bomb, and Psychic. I purchased the TM for Egg Bomb when I went back to Celadon for an extra Leaf Stone. I didn't know what else to have in its 4th slot here. I could have probably taught it Reflect, but I also wish this thing could learn Soft Boiled, but it's okay. And finally, Parasect, the Mushroom Bug with Dig, Growth, Mega Drain, and Spore. With the team introduced, let's get into the league. Lorelei is first, and I'm not going to bother narrating this one. I lead Venusaur, put Dugong to sleep, set up with Swords Dance, and sweep. I wish this battle was a bit more eventful, and I wish I had more to say, but I don't. Bruno is next, and it's the same song and dance. I lead Venusaur, but I didn't need to set up Swords Dance. I could have just kept my cursor on Razor Leaf and I would have been fine, but I'm not working against a clock, and badge boosts are nice. Like Lorelei, Bruno is a really easy battle. Agatha is next, and Exeggutor makes its battle debut. I don't think we ever saw this thing in battle as an Execute now that I think about it. The bad news is that in this battle, every single one of Agatha's Pokemon outspeeds it. But the good news, aside from putting her first Gengar to sleep, I can just leave my cursor on Psychic and one-shot everything. The power of a base 125 special stat with a stab move. Lance is last, and like I did with the first 2 members of the league, I lead Venusaur. I put his lead to sleep, set up, and sweep. The only unfortunate thing is that I crit the Aerodactyl, and even at +6, it barely hangs on from a Body Slam afterwards. I know this was a very uneventful league, which kind of seems to be the theme, especially in these team runs, but hopefully the champion is more of a challenge. He leads Pidgeot for the final time as I lead Tangela. After getting hit with a wing attack, I put the bird to sleep and start setting up growths, chipping it down with Bind and putting it back to sleep when it wakes up as we prepare for some Solar Beam gaming. As my beam of solar energy finishes off the bird, Alakazam doesn't get a chance to attack since Bind hits over and over, trapping the Psychic type, not giving it a chance. Rhydon thinks it can withstand a Solar Beam thanks to its rock-hard armor, but it too is a victim of Solar Beam gaming, as is Exeggutor, although I do have to finish off the Coconut Tree with Bind. And after knocking out Exeggutor, we level up, losing the badge boost to our speed. Gyarados is put to sleep in one shot by Solar Beam, and last is Charizard. It's going to outspeed, but as long as it doesn't crit, well, if he didn't crit, I was confident Tangela would have fully swept the champion's team, and since Charizard is faster than majority of my team, things aren't looking good. I bring in Exeggutor, who tanks a Fire Blast and puts the Fire Lizard to sleep. It stays asleep long enough for 3 Psychics to finish it off, winning us the run, and so close to a deathless run. We did it. We beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Blue using only the grass types, and this was a fun run. I really enjoyed this one. The only typings left are Fighting, Ground, Psychic, and Normal, so let me know in the comments which one of those you would want to see next. As I've said previously, I don't have any interest of doing the Ghost or Dragon type in these games. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel. Special shout out to the channel members, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.